Good afternoon, Google Plus people, YouTube visitors. I'm Elaine Nieberding, and welcome to episode 10 of the Holy Shift Show. Yes, the Holy Shift Show. We live in these dynamic times where change seems to be upon us all the time. And it's our task to be sensitive to what's going on and feel into the core of our being to respond effectively and connect with what's going on around us. We gather together in discussion here to take on those topics that have to do with our personal life, our family life, our business life. And I've gathered a great team of people here together to talk about core feelings. Will they fuel our success, our fulfillment? Today I have with me Marissa Claire McAdams, Katrina Fancook, and Elaine Lindsay. And Elaine, tell us where you're hanging out from.
I'm in a freezing Ottawa, Canada.
And Elaine, we got acquainted last year. It was December in 2013, where Ifat Cohen was hosting an unscripted hangout with New York Times bestselling author Danielle LaPorte. And she was preparing to publish and release her new book called The Desire Map, Finding Your Goals with Soul. And so we were both in on that hangout, and it was there that I decided I was going to host a hangout book club along with about 500 others who are going to be hosting book clubs to help explore this process of self-inquiry to identify core feelings. So Elaine, I am so glad that you are here today to talk about your core feelings, what fuels you forward, and maybe a little bit of your experience with the Desire Map.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This is great, and have to say right up front, did not expect the reading of the Desire Map and going through the audio to knock me sideways like it did. You and I talked a little bit at the very early onset because I wanted to participate in a book club, and because of the change in hours, I start work sometimes at 6 in the morning and I work really late at night. It wasn't possible, but more than that, within the first month, I had gone so deep down the rabbit hole and was so overwhelmed by what I found in the Desire Map. It really took me a long time to get myself back on level ground.
Well, Elaine, you've had an experience unique to yourself. The Desire Map is one of a number of tools to do that great self-inquiry. And as the program goes on, we'll be mining what how you've come in touch with your core feelings that fuel you forward in your life. Let me skip on over to Katrina Fancook. Hi, Katrina. It's nice to see you here. Katrina Fancook and I are often on the same panel in Marilyn Shannon Skywire, which is on Thursdays, often at 11 a.m. Eastern. And she's known as Creative Katrina. And I'm so glad you're with us today to participate in talking about the feeling side of creativity and touching into our core. Tell us a little bit about your work, Katrina.
Well, I'm a creativity consultant and a writer, and essentially I love helping people sort of dig in that from that coaching perspective and really find what lights up their heart. A lot of people feel like maybe they're not great at writing, but when they kind of dig through a little bit of those blocks, those fears, those other things that are in the way, they find that they've got some really great things to say. And I'm very passionate about helping people tap into that. And what's great about what you guys are working on today is that Danielle LaPorte was one of the first people that I kind of researched or got to start following on social media when I was thinking of starting this brand, Creative Katrina, a couple years ago. So it's kind of cool how all that stuff comes sort of full circle. And now I've met some other very lovely ladies that are kind of on that same road. So I'm very familiar with Danielle, and yes, I absolutely believe that feeling is such an important part of creativity. They're very closely intertwined. So it's great to be here today.
Thank you. And now I want to hop on over to Marissa Claire. And she and I also got acquainted in the early part of 2014. I know that she was really open to exploring this desire mapping, and this year is part of the movement that Danielle Laporte has created, creating workshop facilitators so people can really get wonderful support for exploring this process. Marissa, tell us a little bit about your experience and this unfoldment for you with the Desire Map work.
Yeah, for me, it was one of those things that happens for a lot of people with Danielle's stuff. You feel connected right away. You feel like, okay, this feels familiar. You know, this feels a little bit like a coming home. And my whole life I've been the feely person. You know, my parents used to call me the love child. I was all about expressing my feelings, and very guided by the way I feel every day. And so the idea that there was an actual process and a work that I could do to just hone in a little bit more on how I really want to feel and have some core feelings and core words that I could use as my guidance every day was huge. And then when I found out I could then share that with others, because it married so closely to the work I was already offering, the type of work I was already offering, I knew that I had to jump on that, jump on board.
That's great, Marissa. I want to take a minute just to acknowledge some of our people who have come by the comment stream. We have we have Deborah Rock here. Hello, Deborah Rock. We have our dear Sherry Valentin, who I've gotten to know through the HPT transformation community here on Google+. Something happened and she was unable to join us today, and I'm so sorry about that, because her work with EFT directly relates to handling our feelings, acknowledging our feelings, and even busting our resistance to get in touch with our core feelings. Sherry, we'll be getting better acquainted and have you on another hangout. We miss you. Margarita Crystal Lotus has a bad cold, so she won't be here real active today. I am so thrilled to see Robin Mather here with us. Hey, Robin Mather. I see that you're another hangout host and have gotten deep into the Desire Map work too, and are also planning to do the facilitator workshop work with Desire Map. So thank you for being here with us. Please get active in the comment stream. I would like to say, all of you who are watching today, whether you're on Google Plus or whether you're watching via YouTube, please add your comments to the comment stream. You know, you can do it before, during, and after the hangout. And hangout hosts and guests typically will respond to questions and things even after the show. That's one of the great features about hangouts. Oh, our friend Dave Pipe says he'll have to watch the show in Replay City. So, Dave, we'll catch you later. Do add your comments in later.
Can I say a quick shout out to Mary Finn as well, who's watching?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know what? I have a question for Elaine Lindsay, because you probably work Comment Tracker. Do I have, like, that one isn't showing up for me, and I don't know why. So
because she simply checked in to the events page, so you won't necessarily see that in Comment Tracker.
Okay. Well then, thank you, Elaine.
You're welcome.
So last year, I got started with this process of working with the Desire Map. It's a beautiful book. Looks like this. And it occurred to me that this work about the self-inquiry work, it does require focused attention. If we want to connect with the source of our inspiration, to feel deeply into our aspirations, like what we want to be doing, what we want to be sharing and extending out into the world is going to take our focus and even our perspiration. And ultimately, for me, all of this work is about undoing the ego frame of reference, the sense of self which is primarily identified as a body wanting to protect itself, its little individual self in the world. So I'm looking forward to the expiration of my ego frame of reference by revisiting this process with the desire map. So when you explore either in workshop or with this book or some of Danielle's tools, you begin examining 5 areas of yourself: body and wellness, relationships, creativity and learning, livelihood and lifestyle, and your essence and spirituality. And you begin exploring, when it comes to each of those areas, how do I want to feel? Many folks start the year looking at goals, things we want to bring into form in each of those areas, and we make those lists. And we often delay the feeling good about those things until we're like achieving that thing coming into form. And the most important thing that I have gleaned about Danielle LaPorte's book is this quote that I have posted as a photo picture. It says, "The journey has to feel the way you want the destination to feel." And for me, fulfillment and success is living, those good feelings, those expansive feelings, those connective feelings all along the way as I'm working on my goals. Let me jump on over to Marissa, and just whatever you're led to respond to and what I've said, shoot.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that I wanted to share that I found so helpful in this process was that, again, someone like me, I try to really be grateful for every day, and I feel thankful for just the little things like the sun on my face and, people that love me and shelter and a home. The littlest things can bring me joy. And I think sometimes, especially in, spiritual communities, a lot of us can tend to feel like, I'm supposed to be grateful all the time. I'm always supposed to be happy. And so there's not always an allowing to say, no, well, you know what, I got to actually take a look at the fact that I'm not happy in this area of my life, or there's room for improvement in this area of my life. And so what I found so almost relieving in this process was, hey, actually, this little part could use some improvement, and I'm actually not feeling too great about it. It doesn't feel the way I want it to feel. Well, now I'm going to take a look at it and take some action and find out what I can do to shift that and make some changes. Whereas if I didn't allow myself to feel that ever, it would have just stayed the same.
What I've heard you talk about is when you are a person getting more in touch with consciousness, observing your different feeling states, then you notice the contrasts. And then that's a point of saying, how do I really want to feel? And yet I noticed as I was going through the process of doing the exercises, man, I had a lot of resistance come up too. All of this worthiness stuff to feel good or know how I wanted to feel. And as it turned out, not long after that, I came across a process called the release technique, which is one of the things I now utilize whenever I'm noticing my own contraction and resistance to feelings. It's like it's making friends. They often used to call that making friends with your shadow, but I really like to call it making friends with the feeling states that you notice that you're having. Sometimes you can put a name on them. Sometimes you can't even put a name on them. You know, it's just, you just know there's a contraction there, there's a resistance, and you don't want to feel that way. Elaine, I saw you nodding your head. Do you want to speak to that some? Unmute your mic, sweetie.
I'm so used to not muting my mic, but I'm so nodding along and agreeing, because it's so important for us to also acknowledge those shadow bits, the parts that we're maybe not proud of, the parts that we're not comfortable with, the parts we don't want to show to other people. And early on, when I was making my self-mastery journey, and I thought, oh great, I can meditate and I can just bulldoze them all out of the way, all the ones I don't want. But it doesn't work that way. It's all about love, and it's all about having your core feelings. And it was a real eye-opener since I started reading the Desire Map, because I've been meditating for years and doing other things. And it's interesting, Robin Mather said she'll be interested to hear what I have to say about what it opened up for me. But I will say one thing, that understanding those core desired feelings allows you to be gentler with the feelings that aren't so comfortable.
How about that? Katrina, you're nodding too, so want to jump in here?
Yes, absolutely. You know, awareness goes such a long way, right? You know, if you aren't willing to look and you aren't really willing to see what's in front of you or what you're feeling, it causes blocks in a lot of areas of your life. So if you have a goal to get somewhere, but you're not addressing what you're feeling in the sense of how to get there, it always feels out of your reach. And that's why this tool that Danielle's created is such a great way to kind of take those little steps and so really build that awareness in a way that's like bite-sized. It's something that you can kind of take in and marinate over. And that's the best part of getting you forward to the goals and the other places that you want to be, those feeling states that you really are shooting for.
So, Katrina, I've heard both you and Elaine, you know, really touch back into this idea of loving and accepting yourself wherever you are, that your creativity can be fueled by noticing both of those states. And I would like to say out to the audience, everybody needs to give themselves TLC daily. And TLC today, let's call it TLC that's about touching your core feelings. I often call myself Elaine, you know, I'm the contagious carrier of TLC. It's not just today's laughter care. It's touching the core feelings. And I would like to encourage everybody, as we know, the breathing methods, there's so many of them around. When we notice we're in a contractive space, if we take a moment to close our eyes, to breathe, to reconnect with our heart, if you like, do a smile and a deep breath in and an intentional laugh, because the constriction is just happening because you're not seeing the whole picture and you're not holding yourself in holiness, you know? So, Marissa, let's talk a little bit about the experience of being, you know, working in energy medicine. I found it so interesting that both you and Katrina and I and Elaine are all either practitioners or teachers. We have dived in deeply into energy medicine in the form of Reiki, which for those who don't know it, it means universal life force energy. Some call it spiritually guided life force energy, but ultimately it's about experiencing a more expansive sense of self. How has that experience touched and informed your exploration of feelings and desire map work?
Again, like I said, they marry so beautifully because not all do, but I work a lot with the chakras. And so not to delve too deep into that, but each one is also related to different parts of ourselves, our energetic body and our physical body. And so when working with clients, for example, the heart chakra is all connected to the heart stuff, exactly what you would think it would be. It's connected to our relationships and our compassion for ourselves and others and love. And so when working with clients, let's say that the heart chakra is a little bit off. Well, right there, that opens up a conversation for feelings around it, right? So what is going on there? Can you tap into anything that might lead you to understand why the heart chakra is not feeling so happy today, or currently, or in this month, or however long it's been out of whack. So yeah, I mean, that's where I would, before I was even a facilitator of this work, I would say there's this great process called desire mapping, and I would give people that homework of just thinking about some core desired feelings, some feelings, or even 1 or 2 words that would describe the way they really want to feel, and what are some little things that they could do. I would say just go for a walk. If you like walking, go for a walk. That's gonna make your heart chakra more happy, and that's going to, at the same time that yes, you're tapping into a core desired feeling, you're also healing your heart chakra. You're also giving yourself an opportunity to really feel more at peace, more calm, and more expansive, more where you really want to be.
Marissa, thank you for that. Before I hop on over to both Elaine and Katrina to talk about energy medicine and Reiki related to this, I want to acknowledge some of the other folks that apparently are watching today. Marie Beckley, Deborah Peniuk, Jamie McConaughey, Eunice Agajani, Zara Altier, Virginia Parsons, Jeffrey Dodd, and Marcus Dietely, Adeline Hornline, and some of the others that I mentioned. I'm going to close this down for a moment and now look and see if I have anything else in the comment stream. Robin Mather is asking, can you share how you use your core desired feelings to inform decision making in your businesses and life? Okay, so we're going to jump back to that in a few minutes. I also want to recognize Deborah Rock. She says, the parts of yourself that you do not want to share are because they are our most vulnerable feelings. This is also where our truest, deepest, and most passionate emotion that fill our lives, passion, lies. Yeah, that's talking about the contrast again. And we have Adeline Hornline here saying, Elaine, I'm using the emotional release techniques every day. It's very powerful. I'm wondering if Heidi Hornline is saying that meaning EFT, or whether she was meaning the release technique that I mentioned earlier in the program. I'm familiar with them both. And let's see. Robin, we will get back. We will get back to your question. Let me go on over now to Katrina. Again, weave back into talking about energy medicine and Reiki with this kind of work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to kind of lead from where Marissa took off in terms of the heart, right? The heart is in the center of your body. If it's not necessarily open, or it's kind of clogged up, or sort of blocking out certain things, you don't feel like you're fully connected. You're not really like feeling grounded, and at the same time, that space in your mind isn't clear because they're not connected with that center point of your heart. So when you think about being just if you're thinking about the flow of energy, that's not going to work very well if there's certain parts of your body where the energy just isn't flowing. And especially that most important heart center, if it's not flowing there, it's probably not flowing very efficiently anywhere, which can cause you to be a little bit more stressed, be a little bit more in your head, a lot of those other pieces that kind of fit into the bigger energy picture.
And Katrina, it occurs to me, if it's not flowing through your heart, then you're probably not going to be connecting as well with your clients, with your audiences, with your family.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be operating from a more defensive space, a more contracted space,
Yes.
and probably a less joyful space. Elaine, Lindsay, let me jump on over to you.
Well, I have sort of a long-term but slightly different journey and education in energy work. It was brought to my attention for more than 2 years that I should really go see this person, this Patricia Wall, who did what then they were calling self-mastery work. And I was very, very resistant. I had, I think Elaine knows, I had a very serious motor vehicle accident when I was 20. I lost part of my leg. There were serious complications. After spending many, many months in hospital and going back year after year, I had really become very shut down in any kinds of feelings because my world consisted of pain, pain, and more pain. So it was a defense mechanism to shut off not just my chakras, but shut off everything, because feeling meant overwhelm. It meant, just total lack of control for me. So when it finally, in 2004, when I went to see this woman who taught me great ways to meditate and wonderful tools to get in contact with the me that I had totally lost, it was a whole new world. And I'm kind of like a sponge in anything I want to learn. So I literally went around soaking up everything I could get my hands on, from the ninth insight to, the road less traveled and the 4 agreements. I mean, just on and on. Anything I could get my hands on, I would go after. So after those many years, coming into the hangout with Elaine and meeting Danielle, it really struck a chord. And I realized that there had been something seriously missing. And that's why it was such a big, not just aha, but big terror for me, because I hadn't allowed myself to feel much of anything for a very long time. So it was, the floodgates opened, and last year was actually kind of brutal. But through it all, I knew that I had to go through it to get to it and be able to come out the other side. And I'm so thankful, because through all of it, I didn't really understand how to put it into words, but my core desired feelings are joy and humor. It's the 2 things that got me through all the decades that I managed. And being able to not just bring them out, but celebrate that, you know what, this is awesome. And understand that, being thrilled by a chipmunk or being absolutely amazed at something minuscule that happened was not something unusual. It was the right way to feel. And I was able to bring that into my business as well, which is just, 2015 is going to be an amazing year.
Yeah. Elaine, it's interesting. Google Plus is such a fascinating place where more and more people find this space conducive to expressing themselves creatively, authentically. And I bet even if you had not gone through an exercise looking at core desired feelings, I bet people who watched you when you were in your most resonant space, holding your hangouts, or doing an inspirational talk, which I know you've been moved to do, and and you have been moved to do that. Your core has moved you to do that. I bet people would come up with the words, and you'd say, yep, it's joy, it's drive, it's passion, and maybe they might come up with some others. What I've come to understand when people do this process, going through the book, going through the self-inquiry exercises, and they're looking for core desired feelings in, say, body and wellness, relationships, creativity and learning, livelihood and lifestyle, essence and spirituality. You might start out with a lot of words, and then you kind of narrow them down, or you begin seeing the same words show up in the different arenas. Then those kind of tend to be, it's like it's a process where those words get distilled. Marissa, I'm going to ask you to address that a little bit, and I'm also going to ask you to address this question, which I read from Robin Mather, Robin Mather, M-A-T-H-E-R. Can you share how you use your core desired feelings to inform decision-making in your business and in life? So, Marissa, can you segue into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. With business and life and making decisions, I think, again, this is what a lot of us do. We pick a goal, maybe because it's what society has told us. If you achieve this thing, man, you're going to feel top-notch, you're going to feel like you've attained success. And so the whole process of going after this goal, you're not really going to feel fulfilled once you get it, because it's not even your goal. It's society's goal. Or it's maybe you were raised with that goal. Maybe it was something that your parents expected of you. And so they're not for you. They're never going to light you up. So when you can actually tap into what your main core feelings are that you want to feel, it's like, let's say I'm looking at my year, okay, and I'm looking at what I want to accomplish in 2015. Well, there might be some things that I've put on there because, especially in the online world, I'm part of all these groups, and I see what different people are doing and achieving, and maybe some things on those lists are there because I think I'm supposed to achieve them. I'm supposed to get 6 figures. Well, that, you know what I mean? So it's using some of my core desired feelings are to feel connected, to feel expansive, to feel joyful. Well, if I really look at what that goal is, does that goal make me feel those things? Am I going to feel, if I look at it and say, while I'm going through the process of achieving that, am I really going to be feeling those goals? And or feeling those core desired feelings? And if I'm not, then that gets scratched off the list right away. It makes it easy to say, no, that one goes. Yeah. But this thing over here, just the thought of even while I work on it and achieving it makes me feel joyful and connected and expansive, so I'm in. And conversely, if that changes, if halfway through maybe it's not feeling that way anymore, maybe you have to halfway through let go of something that you thought was important originally.
Yeah. Katrina, do you want to pick up from that?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with what everything Marissa just said, and it's an ongoing process. I feel that sometimes people are like, okay, these are my core desired feelings, and those will never be different. Well, if you're an evolving being, change, you have to really have a process in place where you're consistently checking in, consistently retouching that passion within you and saying, yes, this is how I want to move forward. And in some of the classes that I've taught myself, too, in terms of creativity, it's about what you value. So it's about your core feelings, but it's also about your core values. And if you think about, hey, I'm really focused on wanting to be my own boss, but I don't like to delegate anything, well, that might be a challenge. So you kind of have to look at where your values are too, because sometimes you've got conflicting values, even though you aren't necessarily thinking them of that way. They may kind of be pushing against each other, and it's just something to be aware of, especially when you're going into business for yourself. right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because some of you know that I left bedside nursing in December of 2013 so that I could have more time attending and overseeing the care of my parents, who were 95 and 96. And in the last couple weeks, I mean, there are lots of dynamics going on, and I'm seeing I want my core desired feelings of joy and connection and expansiveness and generosity and gratitude. Boy, I want those present in my day-to-day experiences with my parents. And some of the projects that I thought were going to be going full speed ahead in this year, guess what? Their tempo is slowing. Some of the laughter yoga stuff I thought was going to be coming on out like any day now. Well, I'm not quite sure when it is. and that has to be okay. We're living in a time where so much change is happening so quickly. I think it's really key that we get connected to our core values and our core feelings, and if we can stay in those resonant states, our experiences of abundance and fulfillment will seem more continuous, more flowing for us, no matter, you know, what the state of our business is. And when we're actually authentic about that to our clients, to our audiences, you know what? They understand, because it's probably going on for them too. And we can really empower each other when we go through these shifts and say, you know what? I'm going to allow this to be graceful and easy. I want to take a moment to recognize Jamie McConaughey, who's been making some comments. And he says, it seems to me that core feelings are indications of what our intuition is trying to tell us. Since feelings have a physiological component, it's as if our higher self uses our body to let us know which choices would be better for us. And then Robin Mather is responding, and she says, Jamie McConaughey, yes, you are onto something. Feelings are vibrations, and we use words to define that energy inside of us. The better we attune to the feeling, the better we define it with a word. Yeah. That is so true. Elaine, you wanted to pipe in, and yeah. I'm looking at the flocking clock. It's 2:38, and in about 3 minutes we're going to be at wind-up time, and I do want to let people know I will be putting a link to come into the Hangout room, so if you want to have further conversation with me, you can come into the Flocker room. I know most of the guests have to hustle on away quickly, but Elaine?
I just wanted to take a moment and really recognize that I'm not saying that the core desire feelings are the only thing that have empowered me or the only thing. We have to look at ourselves as a whole. So my core values work in concert with my core desired feelings, and all of that works through my intent. And when your intent is real, and I'm pretty much what you see is what you get, people can take from you, they get your intent, they understand what it is that you're putting out there. So for business, in response to Robin, I love the fact that my intent is I'm going to work with people who need my skills and my knowledge and are comfortable in sharing what they need with me. And the rest doesn't matter, because we can't work with everybody. We can't, we don't mesh with everybody. And I think knowing the core feelings allows us to be okay with not necessarily getting along or meshing with every single human on the planet. and that too is okay.
Yeah. Elaine, I truly believe that when we're in touch with our values and our feelings, and we are intent on expressing that authentic resonance, then we do attract the people to us who need to connect with us for, and I will call it a teaching learning experience that goes both ways.
Oh, yeah.
When I had my active Reiki practice, I would be amazed at the people who would come to me, often had issues coming up that were very similar to my own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would laugh again and again. It's like, this is so interesting. They're showing up. I can address my issue with them. I can glean things from them. And then we see, and I'll even use the words, it's like love becomes the great equalizer. We come together, and it's not this, it's less this dynamic, oh, I'm the expert. You know, sometimes it might look like you have what looks like a little bit more experience in one arena than the other. But when you come together with a client, it's always an opportunity to learn, exchange in both directions. And that's as we come to awaken to, I'll say, our core wisdom, you know, and a more expansive identity. That's what we experience more of the time. And then, boy, life feels vital and alive and rich, even if it's challenging. Even if it's challenging. Okay. Let's see. Mary Finn is here. She says, "Thanks for the insights." Well, sorry that that's overlaid on top of my overlay. Thanks for the insights. I'm unfamiliar with the Desire Map program. It's so wonderful to have so many various tools. And we have Marcus Dieterle saying, I totally agree that we need to connect with our core values and find out who we really are in these challenging times. And Adelaide is concurring. She agrees with Robin Mather and Jamie McConaughey. All right, let me unpin that. Okay, we are now at 2:42. Let me go around to you one by one. I'm going to start with Marissa, and then Katrina, and then Elaine. And I'd like each one of you to just share a brief kind of final thought, and then close your thing with how people can get in touch with you. And again, that same information you're welcome to add to the comment stream. Marissa.
Well, I want to say, of course, thank you, Elaine, for having me today. This has been super fun and really enjoyable, and it's just so fun to see the similarities with all four of us, as you mentioned before. And it's wonderful to have an opportunity to share a little bit more about why I'm passionate about this work. And yeah, I mean, the Desire Map for me has been a gift, you know, and I can't remember which reader said it or which viewer said it, but the more tools we have that we can put in our toolbox, right? The more stuff we have in our little arsenal, our positive arsenal, the better, right? And it doesn't mean that the Desire Map, like Elaine said, is my only, you know, it's a huge part of how I'm going to dictate my day or flow through my day. But there's so many wonderful things out there that have been a blessing for me, you know, and the Core Desired Feelings actually help me get more connected to all of those things and tap into the Reiki and feel passionate and excited about that again because I've done it for so long. Or
Yeah.
I'm feeling more passionate, excited about yoga again, which I, you know, as a yoga teacher, I was teaching it and I wasn't, you know, I wasn't doing it as much, actually practicing it. Now I'm feeling joy in the yoga again through my desire to want to feel joyful and feel connected and feel expansive. Yeah.
So Marissa, for those who want to find out, are you going to be hosting an online virtual workshop?
Yes, yes, I
So
have one
folks
coming.
can go to your website to get more information about that?
Yeah, you can go to www.marissaclaire.com. It's on my little thing there, and that's got all the information you need for a 6-week virtual journey, Desire Map journey that we're going to go through together. So people can take a look at that if that's something that they feel inspired to do.
Okay, thank you so much. Katerina.
Hey there. Yes, Elaine, this was great. It was so fun to pop on here and chat with all you ladies today about something that I'm very passionate about too. The one thought I'll leave you all with is the more willing you are to dive into how you're feeling, the more creative you will feel in all areas of your life. That is my passion. That's what I love, helping people examine, look at, move through, all that sort of fun stuff. And I write a blog post twice a week about how to do just that. So if you want to visit creativekatrina.com at any point, I post on both Mondays and Thursdays.
Okay. And Katrina, thank you for joining us today, especially since Sherry Valentine wasn't able to be with us. And thank you for agreeing to join me again next week, where the topic is gonna kind of flow from this one. You know, if we're identifying these feelings and this resonance that we want to be putting out to the world in the way we experience our relationships, in our work and our service, then how do we extend this beingness and these resonant feelings into our branding? So the name of that show is going to be called Being and Branding Your Visual Vibe. And it's especially going to be talking out our visuals in blogs, our banners, our website design, that kind of thing. So for folks who are watching this week, come back and say yes and maybe next week too. All right, and Elaine, on over to you.
Well, first I want to say thank you to the other Elaine. It's awesome to get to chat with some new women who have, again, interests that are really important to me. And it's really wonderful to have seen your journey since we met, Elaine, and watch how your show has developed. I really quite enjoyed that. People who know me say I'm the kind of bionic Pollyanna who chooses joy because I play the glad game every day. You can find me at ElaineLindsay.com, and you can find the business hat for me at TruelSocial.com. Make it matter, and have a marvelous, marvelous day, each and every one of you.
Okay. I would like to have everyone watching today, live or replay, to remember these two wonderful F words. One word that starts with F-U, and it's 4 letters, but it's not an expletive. It's fuel. Are you willing to fuel your success and fulfillment with your core feelings? Pay attention, get curious, join with others to explore this process if you're so led, and bring this out into the world. I truly believe that those of us who are consciously waking up and putting out these good vibes onto the planet are shifting the way we'll experience our relationship with everything. It's very powerful. I think that's why we're on the planet right now, to kind of explore this dynamic together. And I'm so grateful for those of you who have taken the time to watch today. One little side note, for those of you reading the event details, there are some links in there, some other videos with Danielle Laporte that you might want to explore. There's also one that I didn't put in there, but I will be adding into the comment stream. There's a wonderful 20-minute video with Marie Forleo having a 20-minute conversation with Danielle Laporte about goals. It's worth the 20 minutes to watch that, and use that as another point of reflection for how you're really looking at this feeling things and the goals that you're working on during the year. Right now, I'm going to sign off and say goodbye. Immediately after I do that, let's see. I am going to put the URL to come on into the Flocker Room, into the comment stream. I'm going to stop the broadcast and then add that to the comment stream. So hope to see some of you on the other side and others of you next week. Thank you, Elaine Lindsay, Katrina Fancook, and Marissa Claire McAdams. So long, everybody.